Pendant mon absence des réseaux sociaux l'an dernier, j'ai découvert cette vidéo d'une neuroscientifique interviewée et elle parlait des effets secondaires indésirables de la méditation. Ce n'est pas la première fois que j'en entends parler, mais là c'est tellement bien expliqué que je vous ai sélectionné quelques extraits, ça fait peut-être 7-8 minutes, et
I was also, like most meditation researchers, a meditation enthusiast and
Mhm,
evangelist and promoter.
mhm.
But when I did my dissertation study, which was looking at the effects of meditation on sleep as measured by brainwaves in a lab, um, thinking without any hesitation that meditation was going to improve sleep, when I got the data back, it basically caused cortical arousal,
Oh,
insomnia in
oh my god.
everyone. And
In everyone.
well, in the meditation group, as a whole, but more
Mhm.
than the on average, significantly higher than the control group who didn't meditate. I didn't publish that data because I was like, okay, this is the wrong answer. It's not promoting meditation. And I went on a meditation retreat and I sort of was telling this teacher about these findings. And she kind of chastised me and said, I don't know why all you clinical psychologists are trying to make meditation into a relaxation technique. Everyone knows if you meditate enough, you stop sleeping. What else do meditation teachers know that they're not telling researchers? Inpatient psychiatric hospital in Providence. And during that 1 year residency, there were two yogis who came off
Oh,
retreat in Western Mass, completely psychotic. So I had two psychotic yogis, meditators, at my inpatient psychiatric hospital. And I went back to this same teacher and was
mhm,
like, explained what I saw. And I'm like, have you ever seen this before? And I
mhm.
I just remember that I never got a verbal answer. I just got this look that was kinda like, "Oh, shit."
Oh, really?
Like, it was like, "Yeah." It was kinda like, "Yeah, we know about that, and I wish you hadn't asked." And I was like, "You know about this. Like, how come, you've written all these Dharma books. Like, how come you didn't publish this in any of your books?" And he was like, "Well, it's not good advertising." This behavior, like a brand defense kind of strategy, all of the same strategies that you would find in a brand defense strategy, you know, playbook. Buddhists in particular are very kind of condescending or
Yeah.
on their high horse about being more compassionate than everyone else too. And so I was like, well, some Buddhists have like plenty of aggression. I
Yeah,
can
I
I
mean, when
can
you go
show
into
you
the
I have a uh stalkers and haters, two separate folders with more than 1,000 emails in them from people
oh my
who
god.
just come after me and just like can't hold back.
What are some of these negative symptoms that you observe other than someone being admitted to Butler? 30 years of your career compacted into no more than 3 minutes, if we could
Yeah, and you're
zoom in.
wondering why no one knows about this. It's the journalists play a role there, and that's one of the problems is that you guys are like, "Give me a soundbite," and I'm like, "No,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
isn't a soundbite. This is complicated." It could be your thoughts speed up to like an insane pace, or they disappear altogether. So there's like no thoughts at all. We call that mind emptiness. Or you could like have the ability, you lose the ability to form concepts, so it's concept loss. So, for example, there was a woman in our study that was leaving retreat and driving, which is not a good idea, by the way. But, and got to a red stoplight and saw that it was the color red, but couldn't register, like, couldn't remember what
Mm,
red meant. Did it mean
mhm.
stop or go? Luckily, there was
Oh,
another car in front of her that stopped, and so she didn't run the red light. But
mhm,
that's concept loss, and then there's also delusions, which would be having really um, false ideas about things. So that's
mhm,
cognitive, and that can kind of bleed into psychosis. Perceptual changes, probably the most common early thing that's not necessarily an adverse effect, but just as perceptual hypersensitivity. So you tend to see your colors get brighter, the sounds
mhm,
get more. Suddenly, you hear the clock ticking on the wall. You hear your own breathing. You hear your own blood in your ears.
mhm.
Like you just get more sensitive. And that might not be a problem unless it starts, when you come back to the city and then suddenly you hear every car door slam, you hear like
Mhm.
the traffic feels like something's driving right through your body. So
Mhm.
that can be too much. And then you c- th- eventually that same process, and we've written some papers about the neurobiology of this, but eventually that same perceptual hypersensitivity process can lead to outright hallucinations in any
Yeah.
modality. It could be visual, but it could also be um auditory or even motor, like you could have tics or something like that. In the emotional domain, affective domain, the most common emotion that we see is fear. So
Mhm.
something in the fear spectrum, anxiety, fear, paranoia, that kind of thing. You can also see really any kind of emotion, just like on steroids kind of thing. Um,
Mhm.
and then also, re-experiencing of past, traumas or stressful events.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
flooding of kind of that. And then you can also see the opposite. So on one hand, too much emotion, um, and then also loss of all emotion altogether.
Mhm.
So we call that affective blunting. Um, and then in the somatic domain, probably one of the most interesting, because there's not really a category for it in science that we know of, is the what we call else's energy like somatic experiences. So people have these sensations in their body that feels like electricity,
Hmm.
energy, pressure, movement. So we wrote a whole paper about that, about the different metaphors people use for that. But that one tends to be really annoying and very, not more than annoying, it's like disabling. People like
Yeah.
are unable to work or do anything. It's so overwhelming. Somatic can also be like changes in appetite, or
Mm.
insomnia is also super common.
It's so interesting because everything you're saying as a negative symptom is also things that I've heard described as positive symptoms. Like, oh, that person is a really good energy worker. They can move energy through their bodies is something that I hear fairly regularly in the meditation community. Or the idea that, oh, this will heighten your senses so that you can hear more things. Like there's all these positive spins on these, but what you're saying is you're seeing those same symptoms, but they make it maladaptive for the person. The person is so hypersensitive that all of this stuff is too much.
Je pense que quiconque a envie de se lancer dans la méditation devrait être mis au courant de ces problèmes potentiels. Alors moi, je n'ai eu un, c'est la difficulté à m'endormir quand j'ai commencé à méditer il y a une dizaine d'années. Bon, j'ai un peu insisté et puis j'ai arrêté peut-être 2, 3 ans après. Et effectivement, je trouve ça logique. Quand on se met dans une position de repos et on se force à ne pas dormir et à rester là, conscient, en fait, on entraîne notre corps, notre cerveau à rester éveillé quand on médite. C'est ça l'éveil, on n'arrive plus à s'endormir. C'est ce qu'elle dit dans la vidéo, hein. Si vous voulez voir la vidéo entière, je mets le lien dans la description. Vous pouvez cliquer dessus et ça dure plus d'1 heure, c'est hyper intéressant. Voilà. Donc je pensais que cette information était assez importante pour la partager avec vous, parce que je sais que beaucoup de personnes qui veulent vivre mieux sont tentées de faire de la méditation, sous une forme ou une autre. Et après, chaque adulte décide s'il veut oui ou non faire de la méditation, combien, hein. Ça c'est chacun son affaire. En tout cas, moi j'ai arrêté totalement depuis que j'ai commencé à entendre parler d'insomnie, ou alors d'hallucinations, ou de divers problèmes assez graves qui sont dus à la méditation.